what actually happened was Social Security, first let's establish the relationships. Social Security is principally funded by the employees through their contribution, but of course underwritten by government.
Private sector employees.
But underwritten by government. Last of my life, if anything happens and Social Security goes insolvent, government will have to come and do a bailout.
Ah.
Yes, it's underwritten. So that is the relationship. That's why there is government oversight. That's why it is, like, for example, we can say it's a company limited by guarantee, sort of, whereby the shareholder, you do not put money, but because of underwritten commitment that you have towards that company, you take
like
ownership.
You're the guarantor.
Yes, you are the guarantor. That's why government ownership comes in. But it's not in the form of any cash injection.
Okay.
Just to clarify that.
That educates even me.
Yes, that's what they call. You know, you have different type of companies. You have companies by incorporation, by shareholding payment, and companies limited by guarantee. That's the type of relationship. And also to distinguish that GTSC is 100% subsidiary of Social Security.
In other words, owned by Social Security.
100% wholly. So transactions between GTSC and Social Security are parent-subsidiary relationship. Government, in its oversight role, can look at void or issues in the economy and direct an entity like Social Security to say, please do this. But that doesn't mean government is dictating. It's identifying a gap that needs to be addressed, and Social Security can be encouraged to. But of course, Social Security has to do their own due diligence, verify to make sure it can be done, because it's an investment. And the particular issue here is parent-subsidiary relationship with government of the transaction. So when that transaction was consummated, which was about 9 million euros, we had that translate to 70 buses. At the particular moment in time, I'm sure the audience will take note, there used to be transport strike all the time in this country. School buses were not regularly available. Not to talk of underserved communities. So government is all about service delivery. That is why, in his wisdom, it was directed that Social Security...
In whose wisdom?
The president, the leadership of the executive, to say, look, Social Security can do this because this is a subsidiary that you're managing and they are in the transport sector. And don't forget, GTSC, prior to this transaction, have on their own account purchased buses and they are rendering services, but the bus fleet was not enough. That was why government literally, we can say theory, practically advised Social Security to do this. And that came to 70 buses for 9 million euros. So the issue is they said government should have, took a loan. There is no financial transaction between the government and Social Security or GTSC in this transaction. It is purely resources from Social Security to GTSC to procure buses. Government is only sitting as a big brother overseeing this.
And whatever profits GTSC
makes is GTSC goes to Social Security. That is the transaction.
Okay.
So, in addition to the 70 buses, consistent with the president's vision to say that social service is a key pillar of his agenda, government on its own account bought 30 buses and delivered that to social...
Without taking a single butut from
our own
Social
resources.
Security.
That's from government resources.
Okay.
30 buses, that translates to $4.5 million. So the fleet that we are talking about is 100 buses. 70 financed by Social Security, 30 financed by the government. And what happens when this issue of recoverability happens, the discussion was, I was asked this question. We said, look, this transaction is between a parent and a subsidiary. But knowing that public transport globally is subsidized, government in its wisdom, and in fact this decision was made by His Excellency the President, felt that, look, we should come to the support of Social Security. And we will, GTSC, because these buses are not run for free. The buses are making money.
Yes.
So when you have 30 buses that is procured for you, so government decided to write off 50% of its own buses and will support 50% of the share of the Social Security investment in those buses. And we are very pleased with the outcome so far. School buses are available, University of the Gambia buses are available, and underserved communities have access to bus service. For the first time in the URR, you have bus services. I understand today you can have people from Wuli coming to Basse for shopping and going back to Wuli to cook for the day, all through this GTS.
Previously, it wasn't possible.
When you look at investment, any pension fund, you invest to preserve your asset base in order to defray the obligation of your future pension obligation. But in return, you also do social services. This is what we call corporate social responsibility. So it is not that government has gone to Social Security, dipped their hands into the monies and said, we'll buy buses. No, the transaction had no party to government. It was between Social Security and GTSC, and if they want any inquiry, they can even ask Social Security and GTSC how were the buses procured. They have all their procurement documents. Government was not a party to the transaction. All government role was nudge Social Security to say, this is a void in society, please fill it this way. And we are pleased, since this fleet has been in operation, we have not had any transport strike. Before these buses, sometimes I remember we used to be called, oh, there will be a transport strike by the transporters. That is not the case. So it has satisfied a social need in a financially responsible manner, and government cognizance with the social nature of the transaction has come in to subsidize to the tune of 50%. Fantastic. So I don't see where the outreach of government dipping its hand into the pockets of pensioners' money.
All right.
I was even instructed that I should pay the loan. I said, which loan? How would I have contracted a loan without it being ratified?
Well, you just mentioned 50 there.